Today I want to talk about one game-changing tip when it comes to your author website. So whether you're at a place where you are literally just beginning to think about your branding or what platform you want to use, or whether you're beginning to think about what content you put on your website, this one tip is going to be super beneficial, and it has to do with who you are. When I talk to writers and creative entrepreneurs about their branding or about their website, I always like to dig into the way that they feel about themselves and what they think about their writing, because this is so essential when it comes to your website, when it comes to your branding, when it comes to what you're doing on your current platform. Now, you might have heard the phrase imposter syndrome. You might know what it means, you might have heard of it, but you might not know what it means. But this one tip that I want to share with you really has a connection with imposter syndrome and how that links to the way that we feel about ourselves and what we think about our writing. So the first thing, and really what this whole tip is about, is to deeply inquire whether you do feel a sense of being an imposter about what you do. Now, here's why I'm really asking you to dig in this area. What can happen when we start to think about having a website, or we start to think about using a particular platform to begin to speak or reveal what we're doing, is we can start to feel unsafe. And the reason that is because there's always an element of like, wait, who am I and what am I showing to the world? And so there's a real tension in that relationship, because we might have a sense of who we are as a creative, who we are as a writer, but we also might be afraid of revealing that to the world. We might feel that we're going to get called out, or we might feel that people are going to be offensive if we start to talk about who we are and what we do. So some of that has a relationship with imposter syndrome, and it's really about the experiences that we can have as humans, as kids, as people, where we have a sense of something within us that people don't know about, or something within us that maybe we have exaggerated in order to get approval. So we've got this sense of like a mismatch. There's what I have within me and it doesn't quite match the way I think people see me or the way I think the world is going to perceive me. And so there's this gap in between where we wonder if there is a little bit of an imposter going on. And so it's really important, because if you are spending time trying to think about how you're going to do your author website, it's very easy to get caught up in, well, I feel really nervous about the website platform I'm going to use. Like, I'm really overwhelmed by the tech. I don't know what pages to have on my website. I don't know whether I should have a blog or whether I should have a website at all. And all of these questions can seem really important questions. But here's the thing, my friend. If you're struggling with answering these questions, chances are, if you dig a little deeper, you're going to find that there's a mismatch between the way that you see yourself and the way you anticipate others seeing you. So it might be that you think, oh my God, I don't know if I really am a good enough writer. Am I good enough to have a website? I don't know if I'm going to sell any books. I don't know if when someone reads my book, they're going to like it. What if I get a really bad review? And so you're beginning to hear this imposter syndrome can really show up in many different ways. And so my main tip is to firstly just check in. If it is that you're building a brand, if it is that you're thinking about what platform to use, or you're trying to figure out how to have an author website, but you're finding it really difficult to make a decision, you want to just stop. And you want to put the spotlight within you, and you want to ask yourself, how do I see myself? And now sometimes, especially if I'm working with a writer on this one, I might say to them, how do you see yourself? And it turns out that they don't see themselves in a particularly favorable light. Now, imagine it. If you're not seeing yourself in a favourable light, are you going to want to then put yourself on a website where a load of other people are going to see you too? So that's why it's about the way that you feel about yourself and the way that you think about your writing. You want to develop a relationship there that is exactly the kind of relationship you want between you and your audience when you set up that website. Now, I wish this is the kind of thing that could happen overnight. I really do. Like, honestly, folks, this is really deep work. It's beautiful work, but it's the kind of work that you're going to want to show up and do quite a few times. So for example, for me, if I'm creating content, I mean, I have a website, and if I'm creating content for the website, or there's a page and it needs updating and I'm putting it off, or I'm finding it difficult to make a decision, I will come back to this question: how am I seeing myself right now? Now, my imposter syndrome has a kind of a symptom where I do something on my website and nobody cares. Nobody cares about me. So I kind of feel like this imposter of, like, you know, I'm pretending to be creative, but I actually genuinely have no interest in what I'm creating. That's kind of what it comes down to. And so for me, my work has been to understand that beneath that is a much more loving feeling. So that's sort of like what my head is telling me. But when I go beneath that and I do the deep work and I ask myself, how do I really feel about myself? What do I really think about my writing? When I go deep, there's always something really beautiful there. So that's why I encourage you to go deep. Usually the first surface layers are like, I don't know how I feel about my writing. I don't know how I feel about myself. Well, sometimes I think my writing is a load of rubbish, or sometimes I think I'm never going to make it as a writer. That's all the junk at the surface, folks. That's all the jazz that's going on in the head. When you sit with that question, when you really feel it in your body, how do I feel about myself? What do I really think about my writing? You want to be with that question until you invite up to the surface what might be referred to as the soulful creative truth, which is the part within you that is so beautiful, the part within you that is really drawn to express themselves. And that's the part that you want to be talking to when you're coming to develop and think about your author website, because that's the part of you that's like your deep, true creative self. And that's the part of you that you want to show to the world, that you want to reveal to the world. And so this imposter syndrome piece of work is super important. There's plenty more content on imposter syndrome. We'll drop a link below where you can watch another video and dive a little bit deeper into the imposter syndrome. I've got some great exercises on this channel as well that you can take a look at. But really, just to give you a sense of that one tip, if you are at that place, shall I have a website? What's the platform that I should use? What content shall I put on my website? Just pause and sit for about a week. How do I feel about myself? How do I think about my writing? Keep asking those questions until you get the gift of who you truly are. And that's going to be the impetus that you want to put behind your branding and behind your website. Let me know what you got from this, folks. Like, let me know what happens when you do tap in to that deeper, more soulful, creative part of you. I would really love to hear from you. Like, share. What does that soulful part really want to do in the world? What would that part express on your website? I would love to hear in the comments below. And also, if you found this video useful and you want to have more of me, you want more support, more advice, more soulful, creative guidance, then come and join the Write No Matter What community. You'll hear from me every week. I've got live interviews that you can get involved in, and there's also a private Facebook community. We would love to have you with us. Wishing you well, wishing you a beautiful week. Keep doing the work, keep being creative, keep being soulful. Till next time, my friend.